I will need a tip for our design. We will not be using the model for this one. And I will show you how to do an ombre. So with dip systems, really, if you have lots of foils, glitters, you can do all the same designs that you do with your gel nails. You simply buff the surface and then you do this hand painting. Then you can use decals, rhinestones, anything you want. But I know that some people were looking for designs specifically made of dip systems, and there's actually a few that you can do. Now let's use this light blue color and some glitter. I will use, and actually if you are, for me personally, base coat was a big issue because when I was traveling, then it's not possible to open them. So when you want to practice or to do, you know, just colors and you don't want to waste the base coat, you can actually use the regular nail glue, the one you use for tips. But this is only when you do like work on the tips, when you want to show examples to your clients, okay, not on the actual clients. But it will work the same if you just want, you know, to try the color or to display the colors that you have. By the way, I was using the SNS base, and the reason I used this brand is because that's the only one I could find here in Russia. I also have gelish base, so they have two base coats. One is regular and one is thicker consistency. I try to hold the nail or the tip as close to the jar as possible, so we will not be like you apply the base coat and you're like, where's the jar, how to dip in it? Just make sure it's ready, and then we apply. So now we just do one color application, dip. Oops. Clean the remaining. Well, with the tip it's definitely easier than with the client, but anyways, so when you're working with the powders, do not forget to close all the other jars that you do not need, and then with a light fluffy brush remove the excess. So with solid colors it's usually a bit more complicated than any glitter or transparent ones, so you need to pay attention when applying it. Now we can apply it right away. Sometimes you can apply the base coat and then you notice that the brush is you know, full of this color. So what you need to do is to have lint-free napkin right here and clean it. Also, some companies, they offer brush restorer. For example, the Gelish have one, and I have another one by Revel Nail. You can use this one as well to clean your brush, but it's better to do it like immediately, not after the brush is so ruined that you cannot do anything about it. Now apply. And I think you will like this method because it works not only for dip systems. And apply. So that's it. We clean the extra with a brush. I remember when I used to do this, most of the clients at this moment, they're like, oh, I wish like we could leave the nail like this because it looks, you know, so matte, so satin, the surface. Okay, now we do not need this color anymore. And actually with dip systems, yeah, you should not forget using some paper or tissues underneath so you can easily clean your table. Now let's do the color. So I decided to use the silver one, and this is the dip powder. Thank you. But you can also use the actual glitter for it. For example, if you don't have glitter dip powder, this one is by Revel Nail, and it will still work because I'm sure most of you have lots of glitter and you have to have something right to use it. I will be using this fan brush, and you can do any kind of ombre. Like we can do it from the cuticle, we can do it, yeah, let's probably do it from the cuticle because this line is not very good anyways, so let's fix it. So I will explain before I will do it. I will apply the base once again, but not all the way down, about this way, because we will have more glitter here and less here. So this is how it works. The closer your brush is to the nail, the more powder you will get as you will start doing this. The further the brush goes from the tip, the less powder will go on the surface. You don't need to apply one color necessarily in two coats. You can actually apply halfway and halfway another. It just with the glitter, I believe it's better to have some solid background. Okay, so I apply base coat up here. Then we take the glitter and start applying. So you see, first I'm close to the cuticle, and then I just go further. Do not worry about the particles that will go on the part where we don't have a base coat. It will simply not adhere to this part. Okay, well, this is it. Now, to remove, it's better to move it to the side, because when you do it like this, some of the particles may still glue. Well, not anymore, because the time passed, but if you do it like immediately like this, you may have more glitter than you planned on the surface. All right, well, that's it. Now, I think you all know what we need to do now. We apply activator. Then we wait and just slightly buff the surface, and that will be it. But I recommend you to always try to make the surface as smooth as possible, so you will not need much buffing. Just a very light touch. But you need to really let it cure. First one is definitely cured, and as you can see, there are really no bumps or really something that we need to buff. So what I will do, I will just take the buffer, or you can also use the block buffer, because you know, this kind of buffers, you can just slightly push them so they will take the surface of the nail, and literally with like 2 or 3 strokes buff the surface. Well, with glitter you want to be careful near the cuticle so you will not buff it all off. Well, I use the actual deep powder, but you can also use like I said, you can use the regular glitter, but if you do, after that, you would want to seal it with a base coat again. Otherwise, you can just file it all off at this point. That is it. Clean, and once again, activator. After activator, we only will need to seal it with a top coat. So for the tip, once again, to not waste like expensive products, you can use a regular nail polish top coat, just, you know, to save the product. But it's up to you. You can even use gel top coat, just, you know, to do the demo. Now let's seal with a top coat. Remember to, well, with this length, it's more complicated to do just 2 strokes, but still we'll try. 1, 2, 3, 4, almost. So literally I was counting, because you know, after gel top coat, it's such a challenge to apply it only with 2 strokes.